Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Skipalna, and this is the Top 5 Weekly, where myself and my guests talk about a topic. Could be an actor, could be a director, could be an actress, could be a genre. In this case, and in the case for the entire month of May, we're doing classic topics. Right now, we don't have any movies in the theater, so I can't go off what movies are out in the theater. So I decided to take this classic month that I was going to plan for August and push it up to May. And so, in honor of that, we're gonna talk about some classic musicals. And I couldn't have found two better guys to discuss this topic with, Mr. Andrew James Barr and Mr. Cameron Holtzman. Andrew, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great. Just doing some writing, doing some music listening, making some lists, and living life.
Yeah. Cameron, welcome back once again. Both of you guys, this is your second time on. Welcome. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. I got out of the house and went for an hour-long bike ride, and now I can barely feel my legs. So.
Oh, wow. Hey, I heard a friend of ours said it was 4 degrees the other day in your neck of the woods. Is that true?
It's like 14 today.
Oh, that's better. It's 10 degrees better. How about you, Andrew? Is it warm or cold where you live?
50s.
50s, that's not bad.
Not terrible. But
90 today in sunny Florida, despite the thunderstorm that went through. Knocked a bunch of trees down in my town. But we don't want to talk about the weather. We're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about classic musicals. And in the case of classic musicals, we use 1970 as the barometer of what is considered classic. Before 1970 is classic. After 1970 is not classic. So that is what we went off of. That was a rule that I set going into this. So let's not waste any more time. Andrew, what is your number 5?
Singing in the Rain.
All right, hold on. We got to hold on that one. You knew it too. You knew it. You knew that was coming.
I will say that is also my 5.
Hey!
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're going to skip over you guys and go right to me, since Singing in the Rain is a little higher on my list than it is you guys. But you guys are the guys that know your musical, so maybe you guys got some that I wouldn't even have thought of on your list or whatever. So I got Singing in the Rain a little higher, so we'll discuss that a little bit later. My number 5, and maybe you guys don't even have this on your list, I thought I'd get a little bit of Christmas spirit in the air here with Meet Me in St. Louie. Did anybody got Meet Me in St. Louie in their list? You know what? I only saw this 2 years ago for the first time. Never saw Meet Me in St. Louie before, and I used to do another show called the 52 Must-See Movies and Why They Matter, where AMC created this whole book of all the must-see movies, and they had this on their list. And so I watched the whole movie, and then I had a discussion about me. I'll tell you what a wonderful, wonderful little Christmas movie about these 4 sisters, having their relationships, their ups and downs, girls. Well, we're all dudes, but you know what I mean? We have sisters, mothers, cousins, relatives, ex-girlfriends, girlfriends, whatever. We know girls. You know what I mean? And it's really it's just a real fun movie, and there's some really good songs, and I really enjoy Meet Me in St. Louie. And the time of the year that it happens is really fun around Christmas and stuff. It's just a movie that I just had like a good feeling in my heart when I was watching it, and I really enjoyed it. So I could have put anything on my list, and I chose to put this at number 5. Andrew, you got any thoughts about Meet Me in St. Louie?
Honestly, I know some of the songs, but it's a movie that I haven't gotten around to yet.
Oh.
Been wanting to, but just haven't gotten there yet.
All right, well, that's fine. Cameron, you got any thoughts on Meet Me in St. Louie?
Yeah, I think when you said Christmas, me and Bar both immediately had 2 thoughts, and neither of them was this.
Yep.
No, I've seen this one. I like the music. I don't love it. I think the trolley song is really fun, and it also gave us Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, but not a huge fan of it. It's not bad, just I don't love it.
Okay, that's fine. And that's the other thing for anybody who hasn't watched the Top 5 Weekly. We all have our own lists, and this isn't. I'm not like holding a gun to these. You better put these movies on your list, Andrew and Cameron. these are their own personal lists, and I have my own personal list. And what I like to do about the show is I like to share. We like to share movies, like movies maybe people haven't seen before, and that has happened quite a bit on the show. I've people have nominated movies I haven't seen before, and I have to then go out and watch these movies because people recommend them and stuff. So this is our own personal list, what we feel like putting on us. So nobody had any kind of pressure to put this or put that, or don't put this or don't put that. So I just wanted to get that out there. So that was my number 5. Everybody's number 5 is gone by, but we're going to get to Singing in the Rain a little bit later. Andrew, what is your number 4?
London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
That is
all right,
also
hold on
my
there.
4.
All right, that's your number 4 as well. Yeah, we're gonna hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay, no, you're good. It's good.
I apologize, guys.
I know Bart and I have the same top 2, so it comes down to
Yeah,
what
so
our number
far,
3s
both
are.
right.
The number 3 is probably going to be the interesting one then.
All right. So we got to hold off there on that. My number 4, we're probably going to do a hold off on this one for you guys because I know you guys are the guys that really know your musicals.
Okay.
This is the reason why I got you guys on here. I knew you guys were going to have a lot to say about a lot of musicals. My number 4 is probably something y'all have. It's called The Sound of Music. What? None of you guys have The Sound of Music?
I
Oh
know
my
how Bart and I
God.
both feel about this movie.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you didn't like it, honestly. Well, we're going to get your thoughts on it anyway. This is about the Von Trapp family. Maria, she's like a nanny, and she's watching these kids. And this guy, Christopher Plummer, who absolutely hates this role that he's fantastic in. I don't know what the hell Christopher Plummer's problem is with his own role, but I think he's fantastic in this role. I watched this movie religiously probably every year I was a teenager or a child. I don't know, it was on Thanksgiving or what time of the year it was on, but I watched it. It was on NBC, ABC. It changed around all the different networks. But there's so many just fantastic songs. And I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful looking film as well. I mean, just like, you're like, wow, that I want to go there in the summer. I want to go to wherever that is in the summer or whatever part of the year it is. It looks gorgeous to me. And the songs are amazing. What am I saying? Damn it. I had her name on the tip of my tongue and then I just lost it. What's
Julie
her name?
Andrews?
Huh?
Julie Andrews?
Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews is fantastic in this. She's great in another musical. Maybe you guys have that on your list. Who knows?
Maybe.
But she just is great in these 2 movies. And these are the 2 movies that people automatically recognize her for. At least I do. Is this one, Sound of Music, and another one I'm not going to say until somebody brings it up on the list. But I just really love the movie. What can I say? I mean, I have a heart, and these kinds of movies are the movies that I really enjoy. Movies that have a family story. They have a lot of like love in the air and sweetness and wholesomeness and that sort of stuff. And that's what Meet Me in St. Louie and Sound of Music have, in my opinion. So that's why they're my number 5 and number 4. You got any thoughts, good or bad, Andrew? It doesn't matter, on The Sound of Music.
Okay, so yes, this movie looks fantastic. I will give you that. It looks fantastic. And Robert Wise did a fantastic job directing this movie. However, I find this movie incredibly schmaltzy. I think that Christopher Plummer put it best when he said it was like being beaten over the head with a Valentine. And I love Rodgers and Hammerstein. I think they're one of the greatest songwriting team of all time, but they perfected the book musical with shows like Oklahoma and South Pacific and things like that, where the music, the songs are there when there's such a buildup of emotion that words themselves can no longer express the emotion that the character is feeling. And with this particular show, it's one of 2 Rodgers and Hammerstein shows where I feel like they just had a bunch of songs that they had saved up and went, oh, we can throw them in this. And they kind of feel out of place to me personally. I get why people really like it, but for me, I don't. I just don't like this
All right, that's fine. That's hey, you're being honest, and I don't have any problems with you being honest about that. Cameron, what are your thoughts on The Sound of Music? Good or bad? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is my mom's favorite movie of all time, and we watched it together for her birthday last year, and it was really hard for me to not say how much I dislike this movie. um, I'm pretty much on the exact same page as Andrew, where I'm like, it's well directed, although there's a better musical directed by Robert Wise. Julie Andrews is great in it, but there's a better Julie Andrews musical. Uh, the music, like, some of it seems really out of place, and honestly, the song that might seem the most out of place might be my favorite, which is The Lonely Goat Herd.
I knew it.
I love it's it's the one song where I'm like, this is just fun, and it's Julie Andrews being really, really charming, and that's all it really needs to be. But like, I don't like Christopher Plummer in this movie that much. He just feels so wooden to me, and not in a way where like he's supposed to be trying to play this wooden character, but like he just doesn't want to put in the effort to play this character. And yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
I want to ask you guys one question before we move on. I mean, to me, one of the questions is when she's like twirling around in the hills and stuff. The hills are alive with the sound of music. That doesn't get you right in here. That doesn't get you right there.
It once again visually beautiful and stunning, and Julie Andrews has the voice of an angel. But
the lineup of the kids when they're all singing.
Nope.
Really? Wow. Okay.
There's a better musical where Julie Andrews sings with children, but we're not allowed to talk about it yet.
Not yet.
Victoria?
You might bring it up here pretty soon. That's fine. There's no problem.
Victoria's great.
But all right. So that was my 4 and my 5. We're going back to Andrew with his number 3.
I wrote down what I think your 3 is.
You're probably wrong. Because I wasn't considering this movie originally. Then I rewatched it recently for other reasons. And the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I went, this really is a musical. And it's also my favorite movie of this particular group. My number 3 is Duck Soup.
Classic.
Not what I had written down. I assumed you were going to pick Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
Ooh, good call. Nice try,
though.
though.
Love Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
Beautiful.
I do.
The Umbrellas of Cherbourg is beautiful.
It's so great. But Duck Soup. So Duck Soup is technically a musical. There are a couple of different songs in this where it's, once again, a story being told through the songs. They're not just songs that are in there. It's not like a movie with music. It's an actual musical. It's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I really like the songs a lot. Especially the big number towards the end of the second act, where it's the country of Fredonia declaring that it's going to go to war. And it's like this, I want to say it's like an 8-minute song with like multiple parts in it. And it's so complex, but I'm laughing my butt off the entire time. Groucho Marx, this is probably Groucho Marx's best performance in any of the Marx Brothers movies. Margaret Dumont is such a great singer. But she has that classic, like almost operatic kind of style to her voice. It's a hilarious movie with really fun songs. And it's a pretty short one too. So it goes down real easy and you enjoy every second of it, even if not all of the jokes land.
Cameron, you got any thoughts on Duck Soup?
It is on my list of movies that I am planning to watch soon, but I have not gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, this was on that, one of my old shows that I did called the 52 Must See Movies, and we talked about Duck Soup. We watched the whole movie, then we had to discuss the entire movie. What a fun movie. I mean, what a fun movie this is. I'll be honest with you, I forgot it had music in it.
Yeah.
I'm being 100%. I forgot it had music in it, Andrew. So you just brought it back to my memory. I only watched it a couple of years ago for the first time ever, and I haven't watched it since. But I swear to you, I forgot it had music. So that is
Revisit the song where they declare war. It's so good.
okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have to rewatch it again because I put so much in my brain every single day. I just so much goes out of my brain every single day, so it's hard for me to keep things in my brain all the time. And movies is a big thing because I absorb so much movie information all the time that so much is also leaving all the time. But all right, so that was your number 3, Duck Soup. We're going to Cameron. Cameron's number 3.
Yeah, my number 3 is a Best Picture winner released in the year 1951. I went with An American in Paris.
Ooh.
I saw this movie for the first time probably when I would have been in like late junior high, and then I rewatched it while I was prepping for this, and I forgot how much I love this movie. I love dance, and all of the dancing in it is fantastic, and that 17-minute long final sequence where there is no dialogue and it is just dancing is brilliant, and I love it, and there's so much charisma in it. But then in the entire rest of the movie, you have great songs like Nice Work and If You Can Get It, and I Got Rhythm is like really, really charming. I just love this movie. Gene Kelly is fantastic in it. And it's also really funny where there's a scene where the one guy's just like, I found this girl and I'm in love with her. What's her name? And he tells his friend her name, and he realizes, oh, this is the girl that one of my friends is like dating and is probably going to get married to. And then the other guy who's dating her comes in and goes, guys, guess what? I'm engaged. I'm getting married. And immediately the one friend is sitting there, and just this little grin comes onto his face because he realizes what's happening. And then the two guys who are both dating the same woman sing a song about how great it is to be in love with a woman, not realizing that they're in love with the same woman. And I just was watching them like, this is so good. This is so funny. I love it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't seen it in quite a while, but when you were talking about it, it just brought back memories, Cameron. I knew you guys would bring up films that I wouldn't think of to have on my list, but I'm just glad you're bringing up like Duck Soup and American in Paris. These are classic films, and it's just, this is such a classic topic. It's just so you could have had 10. You literally could have had 10 in this category, or we could have discussed who would have been here all night. What'd you say?
You could have had 10 and they would have like all been Best Picture winners.
Yeah. There's so many great musicals. Andrew, you got any thoughts on American in Paris?
I really admire this movie a lot. I find great enjoyment with this movie. It is one of my honorable mentions. I think that the scene with Gene Kelly and all the kids, I Got Rhythm, is one of the most charming scenes ever put to film. I love the kind of creativity this movie has, especially in the opening scene where you're introduced to Gene Kelly's character, and you see his room and like all of the things that are going on in it. And it's the Gershwins. Like, the Gershwin brothers are one of the greatest songwriting teams ever. And honestly, unfortunately, if I'm not mistaken, George died before they finished writing all of the songs for it. So Ira had to finish it by himself. And you can't even tell that George wasn't there for some of it. That's how talented these brothers were. An American in Paris is absolutely beautiful. And as much as I personally love La La Land, that movie ripped this movie off at the end.
I said this in a conversation with Caleb Coho and Adelaide Spence the other day. An American in Paris is what La La Land aspires to be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it is. It was. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But you still can't. I always like to quote John Campea. John Campea used to say about remakes is, remake anything you want to make, or readapt or reboot or whatever, anything you want. Because guess what, guys? We have the original. We still have an American Impera, and now we have La La Land to boot. So we got both of those films, and they're both fantastic films. You know,
Yeah, I love both.
So that's the thing. So now we got a bonus because we got La La Land and we got American Impera, and we got the Umbrellas of Cherbourg. So we can
talk about that later.
Yeah, I just love that film. I saw it last year for the first time, but we'll talk about that later. We're going back to my number 3, which is you guys' number 5. But I'm going to let you guys talk first because you brought it up first. Andrew, fire away on the sound of music. I meant Singing in the Rain.
This movie is so joyous. This is just pure smiles. Everyone is doing an amazing job. The Make 'em Laugh scene is one of the most impressive dance musical scenes ever put to film. And Lena Lamont, I think, is one of the greatest comedic villains of all time. She is so funny. She's so funny that I can't stand it. But the music is great, which is weird considering that all of the music in this movie is from previous sources, all from the same composer and writer, but from previous sources. And it's rare. It's super rare for a musical to be able to do that and pull it off as successfully as Singing in the Rain did. And of course, you can't talk about this movie without talking about the title song scene being just one of the most amazing, beautiful scenes put to film.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, Gene Kelly is amazing. Amazing in this. Cameron, gush about Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy this movie. It's one of my favorite, like, classic comedies. The Make 'em Laugh scene is my favorite, especially when you learn that, is it Donald O'Connor?
Donald O'Connor.
Yeah, that Donald O'Connor was like a 2-pack-a-day smoker for life, and then they filmed that scene, and he ended up like in the hospital for 2 weeks, and was like, "I'm never smoking again in the rest of my life," because like the choreography was just so much and so difficult that he couldn't like literally could not breathe, and that's dedication, and it's also just like a really fun song. The title song is iconic. It's just really fun. It's really funny. I really enjoy it. I haven't seen it in a little while, but I remember really enjoying it. And then Debbie Reynolds is also incredible in this movie.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Debbie Reynolds. You know, R.I.P. Debbie Reynolds. She died not that long ago, a year or two ago, and what was a day later, her daughter died or something like that. It's like
it was the reverse.
Oh, or the daughter died, then the mother died like days. That is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen when it comes to that. That's how close those two were. Debbie Reynolds, what is this, her first movie she was ever in? One of the first? Or what?
One of the first,
young,
if
right?
not the first.
Yeah, she was kind of young in this. Yeah, I mean, I love movies that talk about Hollywood and the classic era of Hollywood and things like that. And this film really does do kind of a duet, takes you from the silent era to the talkies and stuff like that. But it has all these wonderful songs and it transitions so well and all that stuff. Another movie, you guys were talking about La La Land. How about The Artist? That does a little bit of that. You guys don't like The Artist?
No.
I like The Artist.
I love The Artist. Without the songs, of course. It's Singing in the Rain without the songs, really, ain't it? The Artist, kind of?
Sort of, but a little bit more depressing.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's got a great dog. If you like dogs, you got to love the dog in The Artist. But, yeah, Gene Kelly, Debbie Reynolds, everybody. Donald O'Connor. I mean, you could go on and on about how wonderful this movie is. And movies that talk about Hollywood, the ins and outs, and the how they get some of this stuff done, and the artistry about Hollywood is kind of fun. I love seeing like the backstage kind of stuff in Hollywood and how they made stuff look so realistic. And so, when you're watching, it doesn't look fake, but when you're watching some of these movies about Hollywood, you're like, man, how could that not look fake? And when you watch it, it's like, wow, that looks great, you know. So that's Singing in the Rain. I got an echo. Someone's got an echo there. I don't know. I'm echoing on somebody's computer, but. Okay, so that was my number 3. So that means we're gonna go to Andrew's number 2.
I think it's probably both of our number 2 because
It probably is.
I know what Bar's number 1 is, and I assume that this is his number 2.
Let me just do my best, worst Cockney accent of all time. It's Mary Poppins.
That is also my 2.
All right, guys, talk about Mary Poppins. I had it in my honorable mentions.
Cool. This is a movie directly from my childhood. Whenever I would go visit my nana in Philadelphia, she had like 8 VHS tapes that my brother and I could watch, and this was one of them. And this one, I watched again recently. I feel like I watch it like once a year, and it is the most magical experience you will ever put to film, ever. I think that Julie Andrews is phenomenal in this movie. Dick Van Dyke, even though his accent is really bad, it still really works. And also, let's just admit that Dick Van Dyke is just one of the most charismatic, charming actors like of all time. The man is amazing. But the other thing about this movie is that the story is so good because it is really well paced. It takes its time. It doesn't rush through everything like a lot of other children's musicals kind of tend to do. This one it takes its time. It lets moments sit with you, especially the moment where Mr. Banks is walking to his job where he knows he's just about to get fired. That scene is astonishing, because it's nothing but the image of him walking through the night and the music. And it's beautiful. But the music, the Sherman Brothers, many people have tried to copy the Sherman Brothers formula. No one's ever been able to do it successfully. The Sherman Brothers music stands on its own. And Chim Chimney, Chim Chim Cheree, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Spoonful of Sugar, the Suffragette March. They're all timeless classic songs that everybody knows, especially Let's Go Fly a Kite. One of the most amazing songs for a musical ever. I can go on and on and on, but I know that other people have other things to say, so I'm not going to bury it.
No, you said quite a bit there, Andrew. Cameron, take it away.
I basically fully echo everything Bar said, except for the part of it being a movie from my childhood, because I saw this movie for the first time last year. Fun fact, there's a great video out there on a different channel that Bar and I are both in, where at one point we talk about Mary Poppins, and I fully lie about having had seen it, because I didn't want people to get mad at me. I think Bar knows exactly what video I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
But no, I watched this movie for the first time this year. It was one of the first movies I watched after Disney Plus came out, and I immediately fell in love with it. I've watched it, I think, at least once or twice since that first time already. Like, Julie Andrews is so incredibly charismatic, and there's a great story about a role that she was supposed to play and then didn't, and then played this, and there's things, but we can address that later because we are going to talk about the other movie involved in this story at some point. I think it's just incredible. It's full of joy. Step in Time is a really fun dance number that didn't get mentioned that I love. It's the perfect mix of like childhood whimsy and magic, but also keeping you grounded in the fact that there are real issues going on, where it's like, oh, we have like the suffragette thing, we have their dad is going to lose his job, but then also we just have like hey, we're gonna go into this painting and we're gonna have a really really fun time, because for kids sometimes you just need a distraction from all of these things that are going on. It's it's incredible. I love it. Uh, Mary Poppins Returns is not as good, but it's not great. There are a couple of good numbers. Emily Blunt, I think, did a good job of being able to recapture the magic, but nothing will live up to Julie Andrews. This is the best musical with Julie Andrews singing with children, and nothing can change my mind.
I was wondering if you got somebody who was going to bring up Mary Poppins Returns or not. I was going to bring it up in case somebody else didn't, but I like Mary Poppins. I have no doubt about it. I mean, it would have been my number 6 if it was the top 6 weekly instead of the top 5 weekly. And I really love the songs. And we didn't really talk about how amazing the animation was, because this movie is live action and animated, and it mixes them together, and it's fantastic. And Disney did a lot of this kind of stuff back in the day, and they really do a wonderful job with the animation. And they did do that. They did kind of mix the animation in Mary Poppins Returns to kind of look like the animation in Mary Poppins. That was one thing I noticed. They weren't doing like fancy animation. They were kind of trying to make it look like the old animation, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, Mary Poppins Returns can't even hold a candle to this film. This film, like you said, you guys have said, the songs are so iconic. You know, it doesn't matter if you watch it yesterday, a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, you know those songs. And the new one, I saw the movie last year and I can't remember the damn songs. So that tells you something right there.
I remember more about being angry about some of the songs.
Yeah, the songs just weren't catchy, you know? And you do, I mean, I love the acting and the people that are in Mary Poppins Returns. It just wasn't up to the standards of Mary Poppins. And once again, you got John Campea. Guess what, guys? Don't worry about Mary Poppins Return, because we got the original, and you guys got to gloat about it and say all the stuff you did, and I had it in my honorable mentions. But I do like the Sound of Music a little bit more, boys, a little bit more. That's just me.
Okay.
All right, so my number 2 is you guys' number 4. So you guys go ahead and gush about My Fair Lady.
Cameron, you can go first.
I slightly referenced this during the last thing. Fun fact about this movie, the stage musical, the role on Broadway and in the West End was originated by Julie Andrews, and then they refused to cast her in the movie, and then she went on to star in Mary Poppins and win the Oscar for that. Whereas Audrey Hepburn was not even nominated, which I will say is a crime, because she's fantastic in this movie.
Oh my god!
I rewatched this one as well in prep for this. I love it. I fell back in love with this movie again. Like, she's so, because at the beginning she is so annoying, but you also really want to like her, because she's like, there's these pretentious dudes, and you're like, she is fully standing up to them. That's great. But my goodness, your voice is the most grating thing in the world. And then, like, the first act where it's just them trying to teach her to speak, like, proper English, and they're just, like, putting marbles in her mouth, and she's just like, I ended up swallowing one, and all this, like, she's just so charismatic and so funny. And then once everything clicks during the rain in Spain, it's like, the movie shifts and her performance changes, where instead of being this just like really strong comedic thing, it's still very funny, but it's also her realizing, like, even though I've done everything that I've been asked and that I have made the changes, people are still treating me like who I was before and giving all of the credit to the guy who was helping me do this, despite the fact that I kind of did everything for it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. The scene where they're at the horse race and she's just like all prim and proper, and then out of nowhere she just slips back into it so she can cheer on a horse is fantastic. The music is great. Especially I Could Have Danced All Night is a really beautiful song that I really enjoy. And the song at the horse race beforehand.
The Ascot Gavotte.
Yeah, so incredible. I love it.
Andrew.
This movie is so good. first of all, I think it was George Cukor who directed it. First of all, we don't give that man enough credit as one of the greatest directors of all time. We really don't. And he does such a good job with this movie. The performances are fantastic. Audrey Hepburn has so many layers going on in her performance, and Marnie Nixon, who actually provides the singing voice, beautiful voice. Rex Harrison is fantastic in this performance. I actually really love the character of Henry Higgins because it is one of the most smartly written characters in a musical, because throughout most of the musical he's talk singing because he is a linguistics expert. He knows how to teach people how to speak properly, or at least proper English. So throughout most of the movie it's mostly I'm talking but I'm singing at the same time. Until you get to the end where he realizes his actual he kind of like finally releases his emotional feelings towards Eliza, and I've grown accustomed, and he starts singing I've grown accustomed to her face, and it becomes more smooth and melodic, and it actually follows like a set melody, but like with more notes, not notes, but you know what I mean. And I think that's such a brilliant move. Lerner and Lowe's music, this might be their best musical, like in general. They're also the guys who did Camelot and Brigadoon. And some of these songs have stuck with me for a long time. With a little bit of luck is so much fun. Any song that her father sings, "Get Me to the Church on Time" as well. It's just a great romp. Okay, well, I'll just leave everything here then.
I was hoping you weren't going to say that so I could have something to talk about. But no, you're so right, Andrew. You're so right. That I didn't anticipate singing on this episode, even though we're talking about classic musicals. But I just cannot not sing "Get Her to the Church, Get Her to Church on Time." This is freaking great. This guy, Stanley Holloway, is phenomenal in this movie. Yeah. I mean, phenomenal. William Hyde White as the other guy besides Professor Higgins. Pickering. He's fantastic. I mean, this film has got such a great cast, obviously anchored by Rex Harrison and, Audrey Hepburn. But anybody that's like down and out, has had a tough life, been poor their whole life, and struggles, can really relate to this movie. And it's got great music. So, it's got so many great things going for it. Like you said, there was so many layers to Eliza Doolittle in this film. It's not just a straightforward musical. You think, a bunch of songs, musical. No, this is about a girl who's a flower girl in the streets of London. You know what I mean? And this guy takes her and turns her into an absolute woman, a beautiful, well-spoken woman. And if you, I know we're three men here, but I cannot help but relate to Eliza Doolittle. Can you, Andrew, be honest, do you feel like you can relate to her in life because you've been beaten down or whatever at some points in your life? Or have you been just fair. Like a great life?
No, there's been valleys.
Yeah. Cameron?
Yeah, no, people suck. And
life sucks. Life. How about life sucks sometimes, right? And so you can really, that's the thing about this movie is, unless you're just born with the silver spoon in your mouth, you got all the money in the world, you don't know how hard life can be and the struggle that life can have. And this movie really puts it out there for everybody to see that life isn't easy and that people struggle. And Audrey Hepburn really brought it home for me, and I thought she was incredible. but also Rex Harrison was great. Also the father, I didn't want to sing, but I had to sing because that song like resonates with me.
The thing about that song,
on time.
the thing about that song is it's basically a pub song, which is one of those kind of songs that everyone is encouraged to join in on. So
yeah, you're right. Okay, so that was my number 2. You guys number 4s. We're at that time, guys, for your number 1s.
I wonder what your number 1 is.
Hey, I wonder what your number 1 is, Cameron. Because apparently
your number 1.
The real question is it also Dan's number 1 or is this?
That's a good question.
How do you know what my number 1 is, Cameron?
Well, I don't know if it's your number 1. That's
we don't know.
I know what Bar's number 1 is, and Bar knows what my number 1 is.
Okay, well,
we'll
find out. We'll find out when it comes to that time. Andrew, discuss away whatever number 1 is.
Okay. Are we doing honorable mentions before this or
after this? Nope, after.
After this. Cool. Sorry. It's it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like it's got some of the greatest legends when it comes to the world of musicals in general working on it. Stephen Sondheim, Jerome Robbins, Arthur Lawrence, Leonard Bernstein. It's West Side Story. That
is also my number 1.
That's not my number 1.
Ooh.
It's in my honorable mentions. You guys get to discuss and have a great conversation about West Side Story. And we'll bring up Steven Spielberg once you guys are done.
Okay.
Stephen Sondheim?
No, Spielberg, because he's directing the remake.
Oh, yeah. I thought he confused Sondheim for Spielberg, and I was ready to lose it.
Steven Spielberg.
Okay, so this is the best musical directed by Robert Wise. And Jerome Robbins. It is, first of all, it is the greatest adaptation of Romeo and Juliet ever made.
I would say the only good one.
That person would be me and Cameron. And the music in this is some of the greatest music ever put into a musical. America is probably the greatest musical moment in any musical. The back and forth between the men and the women in the Sharks, in that scene, it's absolutely electrifying. I love the opening. It's just the overture, and like this almost, I don't know if I have the right style, but it's like this Art Deco, like outline of New York City, and it goes on, and it's just holding still on that, and because it's Leonard Bernstein's music, it's enrapturing. It's got, this is, okay, I have been saying for a while now that I kind of think Rob Marshall is a hack when it comes to directing musicals.
I agree with you.
One bad one, I think. One great one.
My problem with Rob Marshall is that as a director, he has no idea how to put dance on screen. Either everything is like a tight close-up of the torso, or if you see the full body shot, it's either real fast, quick editing, or as in with like Mary Poppins Returns, it's completely in the dark and you can't appreciate the dancing. West Side Story is the perfect example of how to capture dance on screen. You get to appreciate and just let every movement sink in. Rust Hamblin and George Chakiris, I hope I had the name right, are fantastic when they're on screen. And as I said, the music is just so amazing. The cinematography is just some of the most beautiful pictures ever put to screen, especially like during when Tony and Maria first meet, and especially after that when Tony's singing Maria and he's just walking through the streets of New York City. It is such a beautiful movie, and with one of the most powerful endings to any movie I've ever seen. With when Natalie Wood is just when she's holding the gun that Chino uses to kill Tony. Spoilers. Um, and she's like, "How many bullets are left? Is there enough to kill you? To kill you? All of you?" Uh, it's so powerful. This movie is so near and dear to my heart. And the best part about this is, and I promise I'm wrapping up. The best part about this is, it is the only musical based off of a stage production I've ever seen that's better than the stage production.
Ooh.
The movie version of West Side Story flips where the songs Cool and G Officer Krupke are, and it works 10,000 times better in the movie. And it just helps the flow of it. And I'm gonna stop because I could probably go on for an hour. And I know that Cam also has this as his number one, so I want him to be as passionate about this as I am.
Yeah, there you go, Cam.
Yeah, I saw this movie for the first time when I was 14, and I watched it because I was in a production of West Side Story and figured, hey, I should probably watch this movie if I'm going to be in this show. And I fell in love with it, and I think doing the show at the same time that I had seen it, like, made it even closer to, like, what I love. Like, I think the acting performances in are great. I think the music is fantastic. Like, Cool is one of my favorites. The quintet of Tonight is incredible. America is fantastic. A Boy Like That, because Rita Moreno might just be my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah.
Because she's incredible. And then Somewhere is such a beautiful duet that I think Somewhere might be better than the like initial version of Tonight between Tony and Maria to me.
Yeah.
I love it so much. The story is fantastic. The acting is incredible. The choreography in that opening scene where you have that overture and then you have just like the gangs running around New York, just facing off against each other with this like mix of dance and fight choreography. And again, there's still like no spoken words. It's just them seeing each other and being like, they're there. We have to get them. Go, and just fighting each other. And then the fight choreography in the knife fight between Riff and Bernardo, and the acting on Richard Beymer, I don't know how to pronounce it. Beymer, the guy who plays Tony. The acting on his face during that knife fight scene, where Bernardo stabs Riff, and immediately you can see him, and something just shifts. Where he goes from, I want nothing to do with this, like, it's like, I want nothing to do with this, no part in this, and then he sees his best friend die, and immediately just something changes, and he goes, now something has to be done, and just immediately he just, like, runs, picks up this knife, stabs Bernardo, and then immediately he's like, I've made the worst mistake I will ever make in my life, because not only did I just kill someone, I killed the woman I love's brother. And it's incredible. It is by far the best and the only adaptation of Romeo and Juliet that I like. I love this movie. So good.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys said so much about this movie. I've seen it before. After listening to you guys talk about it so much, I might just throw it in tonight, just because you guys gush so much about it. But Steven Spielberg's making or made a remake or is in the process of making a remake. And Rita Moreno is supposed to have a cameo in the remake from what I was told or heard.
Yeah, she's playing what's essentially Doc, the person who was Tony's boss.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun to see her come back for this version. And if she's in it, it must it must be good because she ain't gonna waste her time with junk or whatever. You know what I mean? She's not gonna. It's Steven Spielberg. I mean, is this his first musical he's ever directed?
Yeah, it is technically.
And you've also
Wow.
got in the new one playing Riff, you have Mike Feist, who is probably best known for being in the original Broadway cast of Dear Evan Hansen, the musical I'm wearing a shirt for right now.
Yeah. So I mean, this is going to be a great remake. But like I said, broken record here, guys. You got the original. You guys have already showed me how much you love the original West Side Story, and I mean, I got it in my honorable mentions. But
I think I've figured out what Dan's number one is.
my number one. Just give me a second here, guys. I'm just gonna. I wasn't planning on doing this. But, you know, I just can't help myself. I just can't help myself. So here we go. Oh, get out of here.
Dan, I will say I don't. They will take this video down for copyright.
They will take
We
this
do not
video
have the
down for
rights to the
copyright if you
song
do
I
this.
think you're going to play.
That's me.
Who is the man who will spend or will even lend? Harrigan.
That's me.
Oh.
Who is your friend when you find that you need a friend? Harrigan.
That's me.
For I'm just as proud of my name, you see, as an emperor's or a king would be. Who is the man helps a man every time he can? Harrigan.
So it's
That's
Yankee Doodle
me.
Dandy. Okay, great.
H.
Hey, don't worry. G. Harrigan. That's me. I'm Irish, and I love Yankee Doodle Dandy. I watch it every year. The 4th of July, I do Boston Pops goes the 4th, and my fair lady, Yankee Doodle Dandy, back to back every year. That's my ritual for the 4th of July. When I was a little kid, obviously you guys know by now, I'm Catholic. I'm Irish. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and we did a production of Yankee Doodle Dandy, and I got to sing Harrigan when I was a little tyke, maybe 10, 11, 12 years old or something like that. And ever since that day, I have been an absolute biggest fan of Yankee Doodle Dandy. Jimmy Cagney is phenomenal. I love Jimmy Cagney. I love James Cagney. He's like one of my all-time favorite actors. I mean, this movie has so many great people in it. Let me just look up the cast here, or one of you guys could do it for me. I'm trying to look up the damn cast, but
as question writer for Full Metal Trivia, this is one of the round 3 movies, so I'm not going to say anybody in the cast.
And I'm going to tell you a story.
I'm
I'm going to tell you real quick. I'm going to tell you. Shoot, I had it right here. Cast. Look at. Oh, damn it! I screwed up. I went back too far, but I'm going to talk about the cast. I don't care. Right here. I had it, and damn, I went back too far on my phone. But I want to talk about the cast real quick. Besides, I mean, John Huston is his father. You know, and I know that's a question in the Schmodown. I mean, that's a question. I already know it, Andrew. Don't worry. It's going to be gone off the question document. So don't worry. It's been, I hosted a match yesterday, and that question came up. So it's going to be gone off the document, Andrew. So don't worry about it. You're over here. You're like, now you're going to be like texting Sandy, you won't believe it. Blah, 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 blah.
No.
One of the people in the match got Yankee Doodle Dandy, but they spun past it, and then Sandy asked a question at the end anyway, just because you just wanted to see. But Walter Huston plays Jerry Cohan, the father of George M. Cohan, which is James Cagney. I mean, it's just got Irene Manning, Joan Leslie. I mean, it's got so many great people. You want to talk about songs? You want to talk about great songs? I just was singing along to Harrigan. That's just one of the songs. Yankee Doodle Dandy. I mean, there's so many great patriotic American songs. I know, Cameron, you're not from America, but if you watch Yankee Doodle Dandy, you wish you were from America. I'm telling you right now, America the beautiful, America the brave. We love America. No, I'm messing around with you, Cameron. I'm messing with you. But no, Yankee Doodle Dandy. I just cannot say enough about this movie. I just love it so much. It's my number one. You got any thoughts, Andrew?
I adore this movie.
Yeah.
I think that James Cagney gives one of the greatest performances of all time. Not only is his dancing really, really amazing, some of the best dancing I've ever seen, honestly. But his performance in general is so. It's weird in the fact that it's very restrained, yet very exaggerated at the same time. And it's very hard to find someone who can do that balance.
I mean, the work he's done before that.
Right.
And then he does this. He's never done a musical before. The guy's never done a musical.
He had done some stage work, but he had never done anything in movies.
Yeah.
And the strangest thing about this movie is that this movie I should have hated. I should have hated this movie because George M. Cohan, the person that this movie is about,
is not the nicest guy in the world.
That, and he essentially produced it, essentially wrote it, essentially directed it. And it's a giant, like, self-congratulatory, like, pat in the back. And usually I hate it when people do that. When people go, look how great I am. Look at all the things that I've done.
Who was the lady, Andrew, who wrote a lot of these songs? She was like this patriotic. During World War II, she wrote all these patriotic songs. And they're all in Yankee Doodle Dandy. They are.
I don't remember her name.
I can't think of her name. But all of them songs are in the movie.
But my big thing with this is that while I love this movie, it's a phenomenal movie, except for one yikes moment. And my thing is, the reason that it missed my list is for two things. One, I just kind of like these other movies better. And two, I don't really see this as a musical as much as it is a movie centered around music. All of the music in there is sung as they are performances, not as dialogue between characters. So that's my only thing. But once again, phenomenal movie. Love it. James Cagney, once again, one of the greatest performances I've ever seen in my entire life.
I love you, James. I love you, James Barr. Andrew James Barr. I love you. If I could come to Philadelphia or whatever the hell you're and give you a big hug, I love you. You're a good job.
Let me know
All
if
right,
you're
Cameron.
I have never seen this film. I don't believe in America. Thank you.
Come on, Cameron. Cameron. Come on. Don't do that to me. You never seen Yankee Doodle Dandy?
No.
Wow. I know you don't have nothing bad to say about America, though. I know that. You just haven't seen the movie.
That's a different show.
That is incredible, Cameron, that you've never seen this. Oh, man.
42, so...
Yeah.
Say that again?
It's
from 1942.
That is on my list of things to watch. I just have not gotten around to it because it's not streaming very many places.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to have to... When I get back on track financially, Cameron, I'm going to send you a copy of this in the mail. I'm going to mail you. I'm going to get your address and send you an Amazon package. You're going to get one. Like, wonder what my on Amazon.
I'm sure I can just get it from my local library once it reopens, but that might take a while.
No, I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad you said such good things about Yankee Doodle Dandy, Andrew, because I cannot say enough about how much I love this film and those songs. To me,
it's way better than it has any right to be.
It's such a patriotic ode to America. And that's why I always watch it every year on the 4th of July with Boston. Pops Goes to 4th, because it's a great combination of Pops Goes to 4th and the 4th of July.
Trust me, if we were allowed to do 70s musicals, I would have talked about another one that I watch on the 4th of July.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, you can afterwards you can tell me what it is.
I assume I know which one you're talking about.
All right, let's get into some honorable mentions from Andrew and then Cameron and then myself.
Okay, so we kind of touched on. Okay, so we touched on An American in Paris. one that's a lot of fun, but it's flawed, but it's a lot of fun to watch. Is Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Another one that's flawed, but really fun to watch. Is Guys and Dolls. Marlon Brando in that one. He's not great, but he sells it well enough. The one that Cameron thought I was going to put at my number 3, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. It is
Beautiful.
a French musical. It is absolutely stunning. A really well told story, and it's completely sung through. It's pretty much it's an opera. It's sort of like a jazz pop opera. And finally, one of 2 movies that I actually watch on the 4th of July every year. I can't talk about 1776 because that's from the 70s.
I knew that's what you were talking about.
The other one being the greatest movie to have a subtle hint of Americana, The Music Man.
Yeah, good one.
My God, was that one super close to making the list for me.
I'm wondering if anybody was going to get that on the list.
It's in my honorable mentions as well.
Oh my God. Okay, real quick thing, and then we'll move on.
That's fine.
When they were so Robert Preston originally played Harold Hill in the original Broadway production. When the studios bought the rights, I believe the first person they went to play the role was Frank Sinatra. And Frank Sinatra told the producers, "I'm not right for this role. You got to go to Robert Preston." And they didn't go to Robert Preston. They went to a couple of other people. And they all said the same thing. You got to get Robert Preston. I'm not the right person for this. And they got Robert Preston. And by gum, is he just amazing in this movie. And I don't think that there's anyone who could or ever will be as good in that role.
Oh, wow. I'll have to see that again. I haven't seen The Music Man in a long time. I just had a feeling somebody might put it on their list, though. Cameron, what kind of honorable mentions you got?
Yeah, and Barr hit a lot of them. Music Man was an honorable mention. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers was an honorable mention. Why am I blanking on
Got Oklahoma? Damn Yankees.
Oklahoma, honorable mention. The King and I was one that was kind of close. One that no one brought up that the one that I assumed was going to be Dan's number 1. I wouldn't say it's an honorable mention of mine, but I think when talking about classic musicals, the words Wizard of Oz should come up at least once. I'm not in love with that movie, though. And then probably my last honorable mention would have been Funny Girl, just because I love Barbra Streisand in that movie, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I basically got all the ones you guys have already mentioned. Mary Poppins, West Side Story, Guys and Dolls. Cameron, you said it. Wizard of Oz is in my honorable mention. I love The Wizard of Oz. Another one that I watched 1,000 times as a kid, over and over every year. One that I really, really enjoy, especially around the 17th of March, Finian's Rainbow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I'm Irish. And
wow.
St. Patrick's Day is my holiday, even though I did say I watch Yankee Doodle Dandy on 4th of July. I get me the whole AMC Irish marathon going, and Finian's Rainbow is in there. So I really love Finian's Rainbow.
Not one I was expecting to hear.
Yeah, well, I mean, the weird is Bing Crosby is in so many friggin' musicals. And
White Christmas. Oh, how did I forget to mention White Christmas?
Oh, nobody put White Christmas. Oh, how
that's the one I assume Bar and I thought you were gonna say when you brought up Meet Me in St. Louis.
Yeah, that's the
one.
White
Christmas.
We were like, White Christmas, or God forbid, it's Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn.
No, I don't know. I had a kind of a sweet spot in my heart for Meet Me in St. Louis. The four sisters, because I had 2 brothers and a sister, and we had our own ups and downs as kids and stuff. So I kind of that resonated with me a lot. But Finian's Rainbow. St. Patrick's Day, AMC, bang, it's on there. You got to watch Finian's Rainbow with Bing Crosby. All right, so 5-1, Andrew.
Yes. So my 5 was Singing in the Rain. My 4 was My Fair Lady. My 3 was Duck Soup. My 2 was Mary Poppins, and my number 1 was West Side Story.
Cameron, 5-1.
My 5 was also Singing in the Rain. My 4 was also My Fair Lady. My 3 was An American in Paris. My 2 was also Mary Poppins, and my 1 was also West Side Story.
If you're getting a trend here, folks watching this, these two are an extension of one another. Remember that movie with Greg Kinnear and Matt Damon, Stuck on Me? These two, they're probably stuck on each other because they obviously have a lot of similarities in their lists.
We both went to college for the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 5 is Meet Me in St. Louie. Number 4, The Sound of Music. Number 3, Singing in the Rain. Number 2, My Fair Lady. Number 1, H-A-double-I. Yankee Doodle Dandy. Awesome. James Cagney. I love it. I love it. I love it. Andrew, where can you be found?
Facebook or Instagram? No. But I'm sorry. Yeah, Twitter or Instagram? No. However, you can find me on the family community, Full Metal Multiplex, Tony's League. I know it has a name, but I just call it Tony's League. And you can also find me on Letterboxd. Andrew Barr, as it's one word, but the A and the B are capitalized. If once the Philadelphia theater scene
picks up,
jumps back to life, hopefully in one of those theaters.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'd love to see you in a play or something like that. It'd be fantastic, man. Same thing with you, Cameron. I'd love to see you guys like singing and dancing and acting in something.
Oh God, if we could do a show together, that would be fantastic.
Oh wow. Cameron, where can you be found?
Yeah, you can find me on Letterboxd at C Holzman. That's CHOLZMANN, all lowercase. I don't have Twitter. I have Instagram, but you don't need to know what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when theater stuff starts happening, you can find me backstage and potentially on stage in a production of Tarzan at the high school I used to go to, where I'm assistant director, and am also if we still do it, we're doing like a charity show for charity where a bunch of alumni come back and do the show. Yeah, I think that's it. You can find me competing in various fan leagues. Yeah.
And you can find me at Dan Skipbound on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. Also, I'm on Letterboxd too. Andrew saw that I was watching a bunch of old movies over the weekend. You also could find me. I'm a film critic in the Florida, Orlando area, and hopefully that my website will expand. And it's called Disappointment Media, DISIPPIONT Media, where there's not a lot of movies out. I've been watching doing a few reviews, doing a lot of anniversaries, retrospectives. Like this past week, I did Rambo for Brian Dennehy. Also, Jackie Robinson Day on April 15th, did a combination review of 42 and the Jackie Robinson story. Did Pretty Woman, did High Fidelity, got Gladiator, Braveheart coming up. And I'm fitting in a few reviews in there, here and there, with movies I'm catching Hollywood links of. Also, the Top 5 Weekly, it's on every week. My name is Dan Allen. You can find me on YouTube if you want to go follow me, subscribe, like, or whatever. Don't throw anything at the screen once you hear me sing Harrigan again. Yeah.
And, make no promises.
So for Andrew, for Cameron, and for myself, good evening, everybody.
My mother thanks you. My father thanks you. My sister thanks you. And I thank you.
There you go. I love that. Oh, what a call. You're bringing me on a Yankee Doodle Dandy. I love it, Andrew. Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy.